So we're officially halfway through the new season of South Park, and I feel very confident in saying that this is the best season in years. Their latest episode, Conflict of Interest, was definitely worth the wait in my opinion. Satirizing the degeneracy of prediction markets, criticizing the FCC, and even an appearance from Netanyahu, this is overall a great episode with a lot to break down. So instead of yapping through a long intro or shilling some morally questionable sponsor, let's just get into it. Here is Conflict of Interest.
Because she's a Jew?
The episode begins in Mr. Garrison's class. They have a guest speaker named Kipling from the Weebelows of America. When I first heard that word, I just thought it was a slur or something, like I have never heard that in my life. Kipling goes on to tell us that Weebelows are a scout group for 5th and 6th graders.
Is that a chick or a dude? Shut up.
The boys start debating what gender Kipling is, and it cuts to them at recess. Stan asks Cartman what the odds are at, and Cartman replies,
Looks like about 40 kids betting now, 55% saying the Weebelow is a dude.
Kyle is wondering what they're talking about, and we learn that the boys are involved in prediction market apps, which are basically gambling platforms that let you place bets on the most random stuff ever. Will Biden make a public appearance this week? There's a bet for that. Will Bitcoin go above 130K this year? Which celebrities will attend Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce's wedding? There's even bets going on about this very South Park episode. You guys get the point. It's just pure degenerate gambling. I've been getting an insane amount of ads lately for these, even with a VPN, so I know for a fact that they're all over the place. And Kalshi in particular is legal nationwide, even in places where sports betting, for example, is not allowed. They use legal loopholes portraying themselves as a financial exchange, something similar to trading stocks, but it's an obvious loophole to make gambling more accessible. Some states are actually pushing back on it, as well as tribes in California who argue that they're violating the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act. Listen, I'm not anti-gambling at all. It makes watching my favorite sports more fun, but I'd compare it to alcohol in a way. Some people can handle it just fine, and others will ruin their lives within a month. Do you really want to tell people that you lost your life savings because you bet on whether or not Trump will say skibbity? That was a real bet last year, by the way. My point is, just gamble responsibly. And if you can't, don't gamble at all. Cartman starts explaining some of the bets that are on the app, and one of them happens to be, will Kyle's mom strike Gaza and destroy a Palestinian hospital? Kyle flips out and asks Eric why on earth his mom would do that.
'Cause she's a Jew?
Kyle is obviously outraged by this and demands Eric takes down the bet, which apparently he wasn't even responsible for. Kyle swears that he's going to find out who did this and rip them a new asshole.
Man, you just bring up Gaza to a Jew and they flip out.
The next scene shows us a Fox News report where the reporter is talking about these prediction market apps. We learn that the most popular bet is what gender Satan and Trump's baby will be. Is this really even satire? If the president was actually having a baby, this would be an actual bet, without a doubt. Meanwhile, JD Vance is delivering a gift basket to the president. I really need a season 27 favorite character poll because I swear miniature JD is like most people's favorite character this season. He starts talking to the president about how this baby is going to change his life forever. No more dinner parties, no more baseball games, no more long nights at Mar-a-Lago. Trump is obviously horrified to hear all of this, and he takes immediate action.
You wanna get in a hot tub and smoke some cigarettes?
Satan quickly realizes that Trump is trying to get rid of the baby. They just had to give him a coat hanger here. Oh my god. Meanwhile, Kyle confronts Jimmy for betting on his mom to strike Gaza. Jimmy tells us he knows it's not likely, but he prefers to bet on long shots. Kyle explains that it's not about the money, but that the Israel and Gaza conflict is very serious.
Oh, I know, Kyle. I told a joke about Gaza on a Zoom meeting yesterday and nobody left.
Sorry, Jimmy. It takes exactly 22.3 years for something horribly tragic to become funny. If you know what episode that's from, you're a legend. Kyle continues his rant to the rest of the students in the hallway, explaining how serious the conflict actually is, and it shouldn't be treated like sports teams to bet money on. So this might be Matt and Trey giving us their subtle opinion on prediction markets. Like I said earlier, some of the stuff on there is just completely shameless. Jesus walks by to remind everyone to get off their phones. The only reason I'm bringing this up is continuity, baby. Yeah, last episode, Jesus said he wanted to ban phones across the school. Jimmy tells Kyle that if he's unhappy with the bet, he should take it up with the company who manages the app, then adds that they're all run by highly professional, strategic advisors. Kyle takes his advice and ends up calling the strategic strategic advisor for predictive markets, who has a very distinct look. Yeah, this is Donald Trump Jr. Kyle tells him about the offensive bet and asks for it to be taken down immediately. He's told that he has to contact the CFTC instead, otherwise known as the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. So Kyle calls the CFTC and, what do you know, Donald Trump Jr. answers the phone again.
If it's offensive, you probably need to speak with the FCC.
We finally get to see Brendan Carr, who serves as chair of the Federal Communications Commission.
Hello?
This is the same guy.
Okay, so they're beating this dead horse pretty hard, but I feel like it's to make a point that Trump puts people in charge who are more so loyal rather than qualified. I mean, this thing with Trump Jr. is just a straight up nepotism joke. But let's talk about the FCC. If you don't know what it is, it's a government agency that makes sure TV, radio, and other communication services follow certain rules. You can kind of see where this is going. The biggest news recently has been about Jimmy Kimmel being pulled off the air indefinitely. This allegedly happened when Brendan Carr of the FCC threatened to act against ABC and Disney over stuff Kimmel said about the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, if a company you work for wants to take you off the air, they have every right to do so. No issues here. Now, if a government agency is threatening people so you get forced off the air, yeah, that is a direct attack on freedom of speech. The right to free speech is one of the most fundamental rights for every American, and that shouldn't change regardless of political beliefs. And obviously, we know how South Park feels about their freedom of speech, which should help you understand what's about to happen to Mr. Carr in this episode. So Kyle's phone call eventually causes Carr to go see the president as soon as possible. We see Trump attempting to abort his own baby, you know, typical stuff. This becomes a pretty funny gag throughout the rest of the episode. It feels like a Looney Tunes parody. To be fair, a lot of old cartoons were like this. Instead of Satan walking down the stairs, it's of course Brendan Carr.
The FCC guy must have ankles.
Meanwhile, the boys are having lunch and Carmen lets them know the odds for Kyle's mom attacking Gaza are on the rise.
17% of people are betting she's gonna do it. We gotta get in on this, guys.
Carmen sees this as a perfect opportunity to make money. The boys know that Kyle's mom is never actually going to Gaza, but if they keep influencing Kyle and he continues ranting to everyone, they can get the odds raised even more.
It's called a conflict of interest, you guys. It's a way to make free money. Isn't that illegal? Yes!
Cartman continues manipulating Kyle and making him believe that he needs to keep fighting for his mom. But of course, as soon as Kyle isn't around, Cartman starts stirring the pot.
Well, I don't know. I would just hate to be a Palestinian hospital. That's all I can say.
We then get a scene with Kyle's mom. She's having lunch with her friends, and suddenly the conversation turns weird.
How have you been feeling about the current situation in Gaza?
Sheila responds that she thinks it's horrible that so many people are dying. Her friends keep pressing her about what she's going to do about it. At this point, you should realize that they're also on the prediction market app looking to make some money. She becomes increasingly annoyed at their questioning and tries to explain the difference between American Jews and Israel. Obviously, they aren't intentionally being anti-Semitic here, they just care about the bet, but this is a big issue in real life that people struggle to understand. There's a lot of people that relate every Jewish person to Israel's actions for some reason, as if they're all connected, like Eldians or some shit. Like, come on guys, be for real. South Park has brought up anti-Semitism 3 times now in the last 5 episodes. It's not hard to see what they're saying here.
It's not Jews versus Palestine, it's Israel versus Palestine!
Trump gives another attempt at aborting the baby, this time making a stew loaded with Plan B, which Brendan Carr devours and turns into a poop rocket of sorts. You know, I'm just now remembering this exact storyline was done by South Park in the episode Cartman Joins NAMBLA. Kenny's mom gets pregnant and Kenny tries the exact same thing that Trump is doing. I honestly wonder if Matt and Trey were aware of this or not. I mean, it's still funny, but 25 years ago, they did this joke. The next scene shows Sheila ranting to her family at dinner about all of the terrible things people have been saying to her lately. While she's ranting, Ike decides to join in on the bet. Underrated moment of this episode. Kyle tries to calm her down, but she's already decided she's going to do something about this situation. Meanwhile, JD is bringing another present to Trump's office, which is a cute little kitten. JD mentions that they have to be careful because its feces can carry a parasite that's harmful to pregnancy. currency. This is where you should start to notice that JD is playing some 4D chess right now. Trump tries to set up another trap, this time with cat feces, and of course Brendan Carr is the one who gets wrecked. Meanwhile, Cartman meets with Kenny and Stan to brag about how much stuff he's been saying about Jews. He even managed to get the odds on his bet up to 95%. He also stole his mom's credit card to put in $1,400. This is peak gambling addiction behavior. I don't think Cartman is actually a gambling addict, but this is definitely something an addict would do. They would somehow justify that stealing money is okay because they would eventually pay it back through more gambling. Whenever I think about gambling addicts, the first person I think of is Shohei Ohtani's old interpreter. If you don't follow baseball, Ohtani is pretty much the best baseball player since Barry Bonds. He happens to be Japanese, which means he has a translator pretty much at all times. His original translator was caught stealing money from him and placing millions of dollars in bets on a bunch of different sports. This is a guy who was paid well to travel the US, translate for the best baseball player in modern times, and he still succumbed to his gambling addiction, losing $17 million to cover gambling debts that he stole from his friend. One of the most bizarre cases ever. I recommend going down that rabbit hole if you're bored. Anyways, Cartman assures the boys he's fine because this is the safest investment ever. Nothing could possibly go wrong.
Kyle's mom's in Israel.
This information puts Cartman in an absolute panic and he rushes to go find Kyle. He continues his manipulation, trying to get Kyle to stop his mom from whatever she's doing in Israel. Kyle mentions he can't get a hold of his mom, so Cartman then suggests he just has to talk to someone who works for Israel.
Hello?
Come on, at least tell me you saw that one coming. Trump Jr. tells him that his complaint was still being reviewed by the head of the FCC.
Well, then what's the head of the FCC doing?
They completely massacred Brendan Carr in this episode. As if smearing crap on him wasn't enough, they also put his arm in a permanent Nazi salute. Oh man, perfection. JD walks in and asks the doctor if Carr will be okay. He's told that if the parasite reaches his brain, he will lose his freedom of speech. JD then reveals his master plan. He's been trying to help Trump abort this baby the entire time. He then threatens Carr to stop getting in the way of his plans and tells him that he's next in line to be president and nothing will stop him.
We can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way.
The evil look is so hilarious on this face. I love this scene. We then see that Trump Jr. is able to get the bet taken off of the app by talking to himself. So dumb. The kids at South Park then learn that the bet has been taken down. They're all pretty pissed, thinking that this bet was a lock. We then get a wholesome scene with Kyle thanking Eric for actually caring about what he was going through. He then mentions that all of the people would have lost the bet anyways because Kyle knows why his mom went to Israel.
It wasn't to bomb a Palestinian hospital?
No.
So Cartman learns that his efforts went against him. He would have won the bet with insane odds had he done nothing at all. I think the most surprising part of this is that Kyle never seemed to figure Cartman out. Or maybe Kyle is actually the one playing 4D chess and was manipulating Eric the entire time. Okay, that's a bad tinfoil hat theory. I just really feel like Kyle is smarter than this by now. The episode concludes with Sheila barging in on Netanyahu and chewing him out.
You're making life for Jews miserable and life for American Jews impossible.
This whole scene feels like Matt Stone talking through Sheila. Matt's Jewish, by the way. I feel like most of you guys already know that, but just in case. It just has to be frustrating being Jewish and ignorant people group you together with whatever is happening in Israel. The episode ends after Sheila's rant and the credits roll. All of the roles say strategic advisor. Just one last little burn. I really did enjoy this episode. I do think they missed an opportunity to make a Tylenol joke with the Trump storyline. They could have snuck that in somewhere. I love the fact that little JD went full-blown evil. I think that'll be really interesting in the future. And I also really liked Sheila in this episode. She usually comes off as a more annoying character, but using her to take a stand for all the American Jews who are tired of being associated with everything Israel does, it was really cool. The plot for this episode was definitely decided once Jimmy Kimmel was suspended. That's when they knew they were going to go hard on the FCC, and it worked out perfectly in my opinion. A lot of people are saying this episode was delayed a week because they might have been working on an episode that was about the Charlie Kirk assassination. To me, it felt like they were done with that storyline. They even said they weren't censored by anyone, which a lot of people were also speculating. If I had to guess what happened, Kimmel got fired on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, whenever that was. And Trey had a bunch of ideas come into his mind, and he probably realized they had a better episode than whatever was originally created. I know conspiracies are a lot more fun than that, but it's just a guess. I could be totally wrong. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.